Hi and good afternoon. On behalf of HC Andersen Capital, I'd like to welcome you all to this presentation of the Q3 24 report from SKAKO that was published earlier this week. My name is Rasmus Køjborg and I have the pleasure of welcoming CEO of SKAKO, that's Lionel Giron, and we also have CFO of SKAKO, that's Thomas Petersen. They promised to take us through the quarterly numbers here and sort of the highlights. So a warm welcome to you two. And before I hand over, I'll also give a warm welcome to those of you who signed up for today's presentation. You can ask questions. We already got a good number of questions, but should you have any questions, please pass them on in the chat room, and we'll make sure we'll do a round of Q&A after the presentation. And of course, we'll record the presentation and publish it on different platforms afterwards. But with that, I'll leave it to you, Lionel and Thomas.
Yep. Thank you, Rasmus. And as always, I will start, and then Lionel will take over. We have, as we used to have, the normal disclaimer on this presentation, and then we have an agenda where we start with SKAKO at a glance. Then we have the quarterly report. Then Lionel will go a little deeper down to the SKAKO business, and then we will finalize with our new guidance, which were updated Friday last week, and of course we will end up with a Q&A session. So, and if we start with SKAKO at a glance, then nothing or almost nothing has changed since the last HC Andersen. We are still in 6 countries with subsidiaries to the SKAKO, the listed company. We have approximately 133 employees worldwide. We have headquarters in Faaborg and production in Strasbourg and San Sebastian. We have now above 2,000 shareholders, 2,004 shareholders, 94% is in Denmark. And then if we look at board of directors and management, they hold 33% of the share capital. Then if we jump into the quarterly report, then we can see that we have done okay during this quarter, especially our recycling business has been growing 7% in revenue. And that is also leading up to the strategy that we have, that we expect the recycling business to grow more than the other 2 customer segments that we have. Then what we also can see is that during this quarter, after sales increased by 24.6% in the quarter and approximately 10% year to date. So the focus that we have given after sales, due to the fact that we have this slow market in Europe, has actually been fruitful. So we are growing in after sales. Also, if we look into Q4, then we can see that we also expect recycling to grow due to the fact that we have invested in sales force and also have a very good order backlog. Then when we look at the figures, then we can see that revenue in total decreased in the current quarter, and it is mainly driven by minerals, which decreased approximately 19%. But we expect minerals to get back on track in Q4, and as you maybe all of you knows, we received the huge and the largest order in a vibration business in vibration history, above 115 million Danish kroner from OCP, and that will be delivered in 25 and 26. So that gives us a good outlook for the coming years. And if we look at the order backlog that we have right now, 213 million Danish kroner, that is a growth on 195%. And if we look at the planned sales revenue that we normally have, then it covers all of the revenue for 25 if you do a mathematical calculation on the order backlog. So that gives us a good outlook going forward. Then if we try to jump into the figures, then one of the the things that we want to highlight is actually, even though that we have a decrease in the revenue, then we will maintain the EBIT guidance for the year between 24 and 28. We now expect it to be in the lower end, and that is of course based by the revenue decrease that we have seen, but still we maintain the EBIT guidance. So that is a positive message to the shareholders. Then even though that minerals is decreasing during this quarter, then we still see a lot of quotations and a lot of requests from our customers. They are just a little hesitant in making the decisions, and that is also one of the things that we are seeing in the other customer segments, but we feel comfortable about having this EBIT guidance for the whole year. Then as you also can see here, revenue decreased by 7.6%, and that of course influenced on the gross profit, which decreased by 1.7 million Danish kroner to 16.3. And then it has also an impact on operating profit, of course. And then if we go between gross profit and EBIT, then we in the current quarter have also hired 2 new sales guys to fulfill the future growth that we expect in the company. So that of course also impacts the capacity cost. So and order backlog, as I mentioned, 195% up to 213 order intake, and backlog of course in this quarter influenced by the large order to OCP of more than 150 million Danish kroner. Then if we look at the key figures, key ratios, then we can see that we have an increase in our assets. Net debt has also increased a little bit, or 25%, so that's not a little bit, but given the numbers that are so small, then due to the fact that net working capital also during this quarter has increased, then it has the influence on the net debt. But what we see in Q4 is a significant positive cash flow, and it is driven by primarily the prepayment from the large order from OCP. So we expect a significant positive cash flow in Q4, and that it will of course also impact the net debt and also net working capital. Then if we look at net debt to EBITDA ending at 1.2, it is higher than the same period last year, but still significant below our expectations on 2.5. So that gives us a possibility to follow our strategy of growing the business, and also if we look into some acquisitions, we have the possibility to also acquire those, and of course continuously pay out the dividend as we have done in the past years. And with those highlights for the quarter, then I will hand over to Lionel.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Yeah, today as a reminder, I will present our main strategy in the first part, and then on the second part, I will focus a little bit on a specific subsegment which is linked to the mineral segment and to the recycling segment, which are the 2 segments I already presented in the previous session here. So you know that we are split into 3 segments in SKAKO Vibration. In SKAKO Vibration, we design, we develop, and we sell vibrating equipment, and this equipment can move, sort, and clean any type of bulk material. And this is what we do in this three segments. So the first one is the mineral segment. This is a historical segment, and it's the most important in terms of revenue. in the last quarter, he represented a little bit less than half of our revenue. And the second segment is the fastener industry. That's an industry where our customer and the end user of our equipment produce little metallic part. Of course, it's a niche sector, producer of nuts, of screws. But we are leader in this sector with a very, very strong reputation. And to finish, this is a segment which is linked to the automotive and the construction building sector. And the last segment that we have, which represent nowadays or in the last quarter between one quarter and 1/3 of our revenue, that's a recycling segment. Some years ago, it represented only less than 10% of our revenue, but we have been developing this segment for some years now, and now it's one of our main segments in our activity. And the main part of our strategy is to develop this recycling segment. The reason of that is that, of course, it's a market which is expected to grow significantly in the next years, next decades, I would say. And the reason of that is that there are main three reasons: some government incentive, and especially in the European Union, some investment made as well by the private sector, which boost the activity. And all of that is pushed by some consumer and society drive. So a very strong trend which is present to develop this segment. And that's the reason why 5 years ago we decided to make the acquisition of a Spanish company, Dartec, which is now SKAKO Dartec and fully integrated in the group. And Dartec had developed a specific product, vibrating product, for this recycling segment. And we are developing our sales force, as Thomas said, to be able to promote and to sell this product coming from our Spanish company to our network, to our sales network. Few words about the recycling segment for us. So the recycling segment is split with 5 main sub-segments for us. It's a complex segment because we have to work with many different products which require many different technology, many different knowledge. So when we talk about waste, the first thing that you think is about household waste, of course. This is the first sub-segment that we have. It's this part is typically complex because household waste means a lot of different type of waste. Usually, this type of waste is treated in one first plant, and then the waste is sorted in different type of waste. It could be glass, steel, paper, what you want, and then this selected waste are sent to other treatment plants. And especially the second type of subsegment that we have is the metal recycling, as well. Large subsegment. It could come from crush cars to anything you can imagine. A copper coming from the electric wires, or rare metal coming from electrical components. So that's as well a large subsegment. The third one is the glass recycling, which is very known, especially in Europe. We have a tradition and use to recycle glass for a long time now. So very established, I would say, is one of the more established subsegment of the recycling segment. A fifth segment, which is paper and plastic, a bit different, but the material is more or less the same for us. A very light material. And a fifth one, which is the construction and demolition waste recycling, And this is the subsegment that I would like to focus a little bit with you. We could add on the top of that, in addition to this 5 subsegment, we could have a 6th one, which is other type of recycling. It could be because nowadays we can make the recycling of any type of things. So it could be slag, anything like that we have in a 6 subsegment. But let's focus on the construction and demolition waste. And I have to come back for that to what I already presented to you some months ago. The other main segment that we have, the mineral segment, which is split in main 3 subsegments. The first one is the mining industry, and for us it's mainly mining customer in Africa, and especially, as Thomas said, for instance, this big order that we secure within the last months is coming from this sector, from Morocco, the phosphate mine in Morocco. The second subsegment that we have in the mineral segment is the construction industry. So here we talk about more quarries than mining, and our customer here make stones, I would say, or cement to build buildings or roads. And then the third subsegment is the iron steel industry, where our repetition is very high, and where our machines are used in the first part of the process to make steel, when there are still some raw components to mix, to sort, and to transport, to make steel like iron ore, or coke, or coal, or what you can imagine. But yeah, I would like to focus here on the construction industry, because this is where there is a link between the recycling segment and the mineral segment. And I would like to give you a few figures about the different recycling that we have in Europe. So you can see on the graph that construction and demolition waste represent 37% of the total volume of waste which is recycling in Europe. And on the top of that, you can add the second one, which is the polluted soil, which represents 19%. So in total, these 2 subsegments that we consider the same in vibration, which is because it's the same player, the same type of equipment, the same customer, I would say, and partners. All of this construction and demolition waste recycling in volume represent 56% of the total volume of waste which is recycled in Europe. So it's a lot of volume. Of course, I would say 1 cubic meter of this type of waste does not have at all the same price of 1 cubic meter of recycled copper, or what you can imagine. But in volume, it means a lot. It means that our customer needs machines to do that, and indeed they need investment. They need to invest in some type of equipment that we make. In the recycling segment, our own equipment perform 4 types of function. The first one is to sort by size. Sorting is very important in recycling. You can imagine why. So we can, our equipment can sort by size the waste. They can sort by density the waste, and the third function is that we can make equipment which are able to feed in the right way other type of sorter, for instance, optical sorter or magnetic sorter. They need to be fed in the right way, and vibration can do that. That's the third function. And the last function is to wash and scrub the waste with the use of water. So on this slide on your screen, you can see a typical plant for recycling of construction and demolition waste. The input is made on the left part of the plant, and the output are the pile of stone. When I say stone, I mean it could be stone, but it could be a block of concrete or bricks or what you can imagine. So it means something similar in size to stones. And you can see so pile of stones, and as well on the bottom of the plant, you can see some pile of sand and some mud as well, which are the product which are going to be sold to other customers, to customer of our customer. So we cannot supply all of the equipment of this plant, but actually this plant is made in two different plants, one on the bottom and one on the top. On the top, it's more a plant to process stones, and in the bottom, it's more plant to process sand and mud. And we have the right equipment. We have all of the equipment which are needed, more or less, the main equipment to be used in this first plant which processes stone. So what we do here is that we sort equipment by by size, and we wash and scrubs all of the waste. And this equipment, the vibrating screen, the log washer, washing drum, are equipment that have been developed some years ago for the mineral segment, and nowadays we have a little bit make some adaptation in their design to be able to be used in the recycling segment. So it's only to show you our capacity, our ability to leverage our experience that we have in fastener and minerals. In this case, it's mineral, to boost the recycling segment, especially with our very strong range of product and our knowledge that we were able to get in working in these two segments. That's all for me. I'll let you take over, Thomas, for the rest.
Oh, Thomas, I'm afraid you're muted now.
The last slide that we have for today's presentation is the guidance. As you all know, we came out with new guidance Friday last week, where we maintained our operating profit to the level between 24 to 28, but of course, due to the growth that we have in revenue, then we are now in the lower part of the interval. Then we decreased the revenue to -2 to 1%, where it was previously 2 to 5%, and that is driven by the activity that we see in the construction industry in Europe, where we can see that it has slowed down, and therefore we have in this period also allocated our focus to the other areas, especially trying to use our effort in recycling, which still is growing, and also in the minerals business, where we have this huge order from OCP that we are using a lot of effort to process and have progress as fast as possible, of course. So given the low activity in the industry in Europe, then we are satisfied that we can still maintain our EBIT guidance. So that was all from me.
Very good, Thomas and Lionel. And yes, let's jump on to some questions. There's a good number of questions here. So actually, being on this slide, there's the first question that came in here. In order to reach the low point of your guidance, SKAKO must reach sale and EBIT of approximately 66 million Danish in sales and 10 million Danish in EBIT in Q4. Which means lower sales year on year, but higher EBIT and profitability versus Q4 last year. Why do you expect so high a profitability in Q4? The question goes.
And I can answer that question. Our guidance on revenue is, as you mentioned, decreased, but it is -2 to 1%. So that gives us an estimated revenue in Q4 on approximately 66 to 73 million. Year on year, if we look at the low interval, then it's correct. It's equal to fourth quarter last year, which were also at 66. So year on year, if we enter in the low end of the interval, then we don't see increase in revenue, but we still have expectations to be in this range. So revenue could grow year on year. And then, as you probably also have seen, if you look at the historical figures, then Q4 is normally a strong quarter for SKAKO, and that is also what we are looking into with the pipeline, order backlog, the activities that we see in the market and so on. So we expect a strong fourth quarter. And of course, given that we need to deliver 10 million in EBIT, that is, then we stress ourselves, but we feel comfortable about that it is in that range due to all the activities that we see in the market.
Okay, very good. And a follow up on that, because there's someone asking here, what kind of preparations are you doing here in the last half of 24 for the large mineral order? Are you mainly incurring costs and no revenue on the order here in 2024? I think you said when you announced the order that it would have a limited impact here on 24, but also got the understanding that you have started a little bit of the sort of the preparations for this order to be ready for 25 here in 24. So I guess that must be on the cost side. But yeah, could you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, we could elaborate on that. And due to the way that we recognize our revenue, then we have the work in progress. And of course, due to the fact that, like we also mentioned in the quarterly report, then given that minerals has been decreasing this current quarter, then we have refocused a little bit, and then we do whatever we can, of course, to focus on this OCP order and also have the progress, because everybody can see that when you can make the progress, then it is better. So if we have some possibilities, we will of course progress on the OCP.
Good. And also in relation to this, as you said, Thomas, that Q4 can usually be strong on particularly on the earnings side. There was a question here that SKAKO's quarterly results are known to have some degree of seasonality. Given the large order from OCP, will this seasonality in the result be less in 25, you think?
I can answer that. It will be. It's a bit difficult to answer, but for sure there will be an impact next year with this very large order, and the revenue that we will be able to have during the quarter will be very depending on the working progress that we will have on this order. It is not only depending on our capacity to produce. It's it as well depending on the customer side. It means to be able to deliver according to what the customer wants to have in his plant here.
Very good. And also in relation to this, there's actually two questions that goes on this. If you could give sort of some color on the distribution or the split of the revenue for this order between 25 and 26. But I think you mentioned something about the order of completion that you're doing, Thomas, right? So I guess it will depend on how the completion is progressing.
Exactly, and it's also, as Lionel mentioned, then we are also depending on other suppliers for OCP and also the preparation of OCP in general. So even though that we have some kind of control, then we are also influenced by other sub-suppliers and OCP.
Very good. And then also maybe I should flip a little bit on the slides here. I think too. It's this one. There was a question also relating to the order backlog here. As we can see, it was the 212.7 after the Q3, and there was a question relating to if the full 150 amount from the Morocco OCP order is included in this order intake number.
And that is correct. It is included in that amount.
Very good. And then it also, people are also looking at sort of the perspectives of this. There's someone asking here if you believe you can get more orders from the customer in Morocco. And also another question here, let me just see. Does winning a large order in minerals make it easier to pitch other similar orders? Or is this segment more isolated to Morocco and the phosphate business? Maybe also, you know, I don't think we are fully from being outsiders to this industry. We're fully aware of does these mines. Is there a lot of these mines around in the world? Maybe you could elaborate a bit on that also, please.
For sure, getting this type of order is a very strong reference, and especially mineral is a very conservative industry. So as long as you have good reference, you will get order. So order will mean, I would say, order for sure.
Very good. And then there was also a question too. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, as you mentioned, Thomas, down here you have the net debt to EBITDA. It is currently at 1.2, and you have a goal of being below 2.5. There was actually a question if sort of with sort of the state of the general industry in Europe, do we see sort of any M&A opportunities when in your segments?
We always are looking at the market in general, and of course, if we look at our ambitions until 28, then we expect to double our recycling business by end of 2028. So and that is organic wise, but all the time, due to the fact that we want to be a main player on this market, and of course also in the other sub segments, then we are looking into the European market to see if we can have some acquisitions, but that is something that we have done since we also took over Dartec. So we are fully aware of what is happening in the market.
Very good. And then also a question referring to the presidential election in the US and the outcome here, sort of if you have gotten any feedback from customers with respect to Trump becoming a president now and the impact of potential tariffs, if this may negatively affect your European customers, or may it create business opportunities actually in the US? And if yes, could you elaborate a bit on these risks and opportunities that may be the outcome of this?
So we do not produce on the US market, and we are only deliver equipment. So, but we have not yet received any bad signal from this market. We are only developing the fastener market in the US, and we are delivering to this market very specific product. And I would say that the number of US competitor for this segment that we are developing in the US is very small. So we are not concerned about that so far. But let's see. Let's see.
And we can maybe also mention that in 2023, the revenue for the US market was below 2% of our total revenue. So it is not a huge revenue that we have at that market.
Good. And I think we're through most of the questions. There was one final here. So there was a question here, and I turned to this slide that you went through, Lionel, that what happens next in the value chain when the different kind of waste has been separated and sorted? And are you anyhow involved in sort of like further up the value chain with your equipment?
No, I think it's final product for our customer. After that, you can see the pile of stone that you can see on the sketch. They are definitively sent to build roads or build directly. I don't know, used to add to concrete to make add to cement, sorry, to make concrete and make buildings with that. So no, we stay at this level.
Very good. We will conclude by that. Thank you very much, Lionel and Thomas, for participating here today and giving us the rundown of the Q3 reports.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
goodbye.
Thank you to those of you who listened in and asked some very good questions. I'll just wish you all a nice day from here. Thank you.